William Shakespeare was born in the town of Stratford-upon-Avon, in Warwickshire, England, in 1564. His father, John Shakespeare, was a successful merchant and local official, and his mother, Mary Arden, was the daughter of a wealthy farmer. Shakespeare received a good education, likely attending the local grammar school, but there is no record of him attending university. In 1582, at the age of 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was 26 and already pregnant with their first child. They had 3 children, Susanna, and twins Hamnet and Judith. Not much is known about Shakespeare's life between his marriage and his arrival in London in the late 1580s or early 1590s. He appears to have been involved in London's theatre scene by the early 1590s, working as an actor, writer, and shareholder in a company of players called the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later known as the King's Men. Shakespeare wrote and acted in many plays in London, both alone and in collaboration with other writers. His plays were performed at the Globe Theatre and other venues, and were well received by audiences of all social classes. Shakespeare's plays cover a wide range of genres and styles, including comedy, tragedy, history, and romance. Some of his most famous works include plays like Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and Macbeth, as well as a collection of 154 sonnets. His plays are considered to be some of the most brilliant pieces of literature ever written and are still widely performed and studied today. In 1613, Shakespeare retired to Stratford. William Shakespeare is widely considered to be one of the greatest playwrights in the history of the English language. Some of his most famous works include Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, Othello, King Lear, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Tempest, Julius Caesar, The Taming of the Shrew, As You Like It. These plays are considered some of the most enduring and popular works in the Western literary canon and are still widely performed today. William Shakespeare is famous for his poetic and eloquent writing, and many of his quotes have become famous in their own right. Some of his most famous quotes include, "To be, or not to be, that is the question." Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. "But, soft! What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun." Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 2. "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players." As You Like It, Act 2, Scene 7. "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2. "It is not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves." Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2. "To thine own self be true." Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 3. "The course of true love never did run smooth." A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 1, Scene 1. "All that glisters is not gold." The Merchant of Venice, Act 2, Scene 7. "What's past is prologue." The Tempest, Act 2, Scene 1. "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears." Julius Caesar, Act 3, Scene 2. These quotes are just a small selection of the many famous lines and passages that Shakespeare wrote, and they give a sense of the range and power of his writing. William Shakespeare lived in Elizabethan era and there were no any specific prizes or awards like today during that time. However, it is well recorded that Shakespeare's plays were extremely popular in his own lifetime and were often performed for royalty and other members of the elite, as well as for more general audiences. Some of his plays were also published in printed form, which helped to cement his reputation as one of the greatest playwrights of his time. In addition to his popularity as a playwright, Shakespeare was also a respected member of the acting company known as the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later the King's Men, which performed many of his plays. Furthermore, his works were very popular among the audiences and highly appreciated by the critics, so it is safe to say that he was a successful playwright during his time. Shakespeare died on April 23, 1616, at the age of 52. The exact cause of his death is not known, but it is believed that he died of natural causes. It was a common practice at the time to bury people within 24 hours of their death. and he was buried in Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon, where a monument was erected in his memory. His death was not a widely publicized event, and no records of any public mourning or ceremony was found, which could indicate that his death was not unexpected. Although Shakespeare's death was not notable by the public records, but his works have continued to be widely celebrated and performed for centuries after his passing. Today, he is considered one of the greatest playwrights in the history of the English language, and his plays are still widely studied and performed around the world.